Most people think an everyday carry setup has to be extremely complicated, a lot of gear, a lot of just-in-case items. But over time I noticed something. The more I traveled, and now even living here in Burgos, the simpler my setup actually became. Because in the end, there are only a few things you actually use every single day. So hey, Johannes from GearUpYourLife here, and today I'll show you my complete everyday carry setup that I use right now here in Burgos, but also the exact same setup I take with me when I travel. It's around 17 different items across a few categories, and from my main carry to daily essentials, all the way to small upgrades that just makes my life easier. So let's start with the base of this setup. And over the last couple of weeks, or even months at this point, this has basically become my main everyday carry bag, the TomTok Navigator T66 Lightweight in the 28-liter ripstop version. And the reason why I use this one is actually pretty simple. It just somehow works for almost every situation, because nowadays I usually carry a bit more with me, whether that's my MacBook, Kindle, iPad, a foldable laptop stand, gym clothes, beach stuff, or even things for light hikes. And this bag just handles all of that really well without feeling huge, especially because with the compression straps you can also make it feel a bit smaller and cleaner for everyday use when it's not fully packed out. The organization is also really solid for the price. You've got a smaller front pocket for quick access stuff like snacks or smaller accessories, a hidden pocket at the back for things like your wallet, passport, or phone, and then a really spacious main compartment with enough room that you can even use this for an overnight stay or a full weekend trip if you want to. The laptop compartment is also surprisingly good. You can easily fit something like a MacBook, an iPad, and even a foldable laptop stand in there without it feeling cramped. And another thing I noticed pretty quickly is just how comfortable this bag is to carry. Even when it's packed out, it still feels really balanced and lightweight, which it actually is at only around 1 kilogram. And to be honest, that makes a massive difference if you wear a backpack for an entire day. And what I also really like are the water bottle pockets, especially for everyday carry, because they hold smaller or medium-sized bottles really securely. But honest point here, if you're using extremely large water bottles, it can get a bit tighter and less practical. And especially considering that this thing costs around $80, I genuinely think it's one of the best value backpacks I've used in a while, especially because it also works really well as a personal item while flying, which just makes it even more versatile overall. So let's start with the 3 core daily essential, and the first one here is this Peak Design phone case. And this is actually a product you've probably seen 100 times in my videos, but I rarely really talked about it. I've been using this for almost 3 years now, basically since I got my phone. And fun fact, it was actually a gift from my girlfriend, because I used to be that guy who wouldn't spend more than $5 on a phone case, but this completely changed that for me. The first thing you notice is the build quality. It has this soft fabric finish on the back which feels really premium, but at the same time it's still super durable. Even after daily use it still looks clean. No peeling, no weird wear, it just holds up really well. But the real reason I stuck with it is the system behind it, because it's not just a phone case, it has this built-in mounting system, so you can snap it onto things like stands, tripods, or even car mounts or power banks, and it still charges perfectly. And even that just works instantly every time. And that's what makes this one of those products you just don't really think about replacing anymore. Our second core essential is the tile tracker. And as I mentioned in my last tech video, I've actually been looking into alternatives, because to be fair, there are a few downsides. The tracking isn't always the most accurate, and sometimes the connection can be a bit slow. But even with that, I still use it every single day. The app is just really simple and reliable, it's pretty affordable, and I also like that the design is clean and minimal. And most importantly, it still does its job. Right now I have 3 of them. One in my sling bag or everyday backpack, one on my keys, and one that I usually just throw into my suitcase or backpack when I travel. So even though it's not perfect, it's still one of those things that just gives you a bit of extra peace of mind. So to finish off the core essentials, I still use the OrbitKey key organizer, and it's around $15. And if you've ever used a normal keychain, you know how annoying they actually are. These classic rings, they bend, they hurt your fingers, and every time you add a key it's kind of a struggle. This basically fixes all of that. Instead of clipping your keys onto a ring, you just stack them inside here with a simple screw system. So once it's set up, everything stays in place, doesn't move around, and most importantly, it's completely silent. No jingling in your pocket, and of course, let's be honest, it also just looks a lot better. And that's really the reason why I use it. Because before this, it was honestly such a pain, always messing up your fingernails or hurting your fingers, just trying to deal with your keys. So now let's move on to one of the smaller daily comfort products I use almost every single day, the Loop Quiet 2 earplugs. And to be honest, the reason why I use them is pretty simple. I almost always have them with me whenever I want to focus, work, relax at the beach, or sometimes even just when a place is way too loud. And what I personally like about them is that they don't completely block out the world around you. You can still hear people talking to you and still kind of stay aware of your surroundings, but they reduce enough noise that everything just feels calmer and less distracting. Especially for things like cafes, flights, buses, or even short power naps while traveling, they've honestly become one of those products I always carry with me. I'm using the standard Loop Quiet 2 version here, which costs around $20. $20. And for that price, I honestly think they're really solid. They're super small, lightweight, comfortable to wear, and they also come with different tip sizes so you can adjust the fit properly. And to be honest, I just leave them inside the bag all the time, so whenever I go out, I automatically have them with me. And if you're also looking for something specifically for sleeping, the Loop Dream version is honestly really solid as well. So our next two comfort essentials fall into the same category. On one side we have the Evervessel Mini, and on the other side the collapsible coffee mug from Sea to Summit. And I use both for very different reasons. The Evervessel Mini is more for water or colder drinks. It's super compact, fits perfectly into a sling bag, and the quality is honestly really solid. Keeps drinks cool for a long time, doesn't leak, and it's just one of those bottles you can throw in your bag without ever thinking about it. Then on the other side, there's the collapsible coffee mug. And this one I mainly use in the mornings. I'll just make my coffee with an AeroPress, pour it in, and take it with me when I head out. And what I really like is that you can fold it down super small, so it barely takes up any space once you're done. Also, here in Burgers, there are a lot of these simple coffee machines, and let's just say they're a bit questionable sometimes, but for a quick espresso, they actually work. So having your own cup with you just makes the whole thing way better. It's also reinforced with stainless steel, so it feels more solid than you would expect, but yeah, it's a bit more on the premium side at around $20. So our next product I use almost every day is the PillowGo Pillbox XS, and this is probably the smallest thing in this whole setup, but also one of the most useful. It's made from simple stainless steel, has a really clean design, and it's completely waterproof. So everything inside stays safe and dry. Even though it's super small, you can still fit a few pills in there, which is usually more than enough for a full day or even a short weekend. And for me personally, it's just one of those things I like to always have with me. Whether it's a headache, something small while traveling, or just being out for the whole day, it's nice to know you've got it with you. It's also so small that you can literally just clip it to your keys or throw it in your bag and forget about it. And that's really the reason why I carry it. And on top of that, I usually also bring a small electrolyte sachet with me, just something simple, especially for hot days or long travel days. Next, let's talk about the few tech products I take with me every day, and we start with the most important one, a power bank. And for most of the time, I use the Anker Nano Mago power bank, because to be honest, I just don't need anything bigger. This one gives you around 2 full charges, which is more than enough for a full day, especially if you're just out traveling or working somewhere. And the best part is really the size. It's extremely slim, lightweight, and you can just snap it onto your phone magnetically. No cables, no setup, it just works. I've also used bigger power banks before, but they're usually heavier and take up way more space. So for something like an everyday carry setup, this just makes a lot more sense. It's simple, reliable, and does exactly what I need it to do without adding any extra weight or bulk. And also for an Anker product, it's also not too expensive, with around $45 to $50. So our next tech gadgets are again 2 at once, because both of them are basically part of my charging setup. And when it comes to that, I try to keep things as simple as possible. Most of the time I only carry one cable, and to be honest, sometimes I even leave that at home and just go out with the power bank. But if I bring a proper setup, this is what I use. The Anker Fusion wall charger, together with a 3-in-1 cable, and this combo is just super practical. The charger itself is really small and lightweight, and you can fold the plug in, so it doesn't take up much space at all. And then the 3-in-1 cable basically gives you the freedom to charge everything with just one cable. So whether it's my phone, my camera, or even something like a MacBook, it all just works with one setup. And again, that's really the goal here, keeping things simple without carrying unnecessary stuff. So the next tech product I carry with me is this Ugreen USB-C hub, and this is a thing you don't need every day, but when you need it, it just saves you. Especially with something like a MacBook, you just don't have enough ports. So this basically fixes that. With one cable, you can connect things like USB drives, SD cards, or even a second screen if you need it. Like you see in the video, it's also really compact, so it doesn't take up much space in the sling bag or your everyday setup. And price-wise, it's usually around $15 to $20. So for what it does, it's definitely worth having with you. So our last, I'd call it tech EDC gadget, is this Moft phone stand, or tripod if you want to call it that, and I have it here in this brown version, which I think just looks really clean. But the main reason I use it is definitely the stand itself. You can just flip it open and use your phone in different angles, whether it's for watching something, working, or even just scrolling without holding your phone the whole time. And it also works in landscape and portrait, which makes it super versatile. On top of that, you can even use it as a small tripod. So if you want to take photos, film something, or just set your phone down somewhere, it actually works really well for that. It's also made out of this vegan leather material, so it feels nice and premium while still being pretty thin and lightweight. And technically, you can also store like 2 or 3 cards inside here. I personally don't really use it for that, but it's a nice extra option if you want it. So overall, again, just a simple product that adds a lot of functionality without really adding bulk. So now we're at the last category, and these are the small everyday upgrades. And we'll start with the smallest one, which are these Zelen mini carabiners. And I use these quite a lot actually, mostly to secure zippers, but also to attach things to the outside of my sling bag. For example, I always have my nano bag attached here, which I think I've mentioned so many times already, you probably know that by now. Or sometimes even smaller things, like attaching the little PillowGo to the outside. They come in a 4-pack, cost around $6, so really affordable. And yeah, they're super small, but they do their job really well. So next we've got these small soap sheets from Foreman, and I still really like these. What they do is super simple. You just take one sheet, add a bit of water, and it turns into soap. I'm currently using the lemon ones, which also smell pretty fresh. And for me, it's just one of those things that's really practical when you're out all day or traveling. You always have soap with you without carrying anything bulky or messy. They come in a 3-pack for around $10, which I still think is very fair. And yeah, it's something I've been using for a long time now, and I still carry it with me. And another small everyday upgrade I almost always carry with me now is the Woburn E8 flashlight. And yes, at first this might sound a bit unnecessary until you actually start having a small flashlight with you every day. Because of course, the main reason is simply having a reliable flashlight while traveling or just as an everyday essential, because whether that's in Airbnbs, walking outside at night, looking for something in your bag, or just random situations where your phone flashlight kind of sucks. But what I personally ended up using it for even more is actually the small side light on it. Especially the amber light mode completely replaced my reading light at this point. Whenever I'm reading in bed or sitting somewhere in the evening with my Kindle, I almost always use this now because the light just feels way softer and more comfortable at night. And overall, that's what I like about this thing. It's not one of those products that does one crazy thing. It's just super useful in a bunch of small everyday situations. Plus it's really compact, feels super solid, and still easily fits into basically any bag or pouch without taking up space. Last but not least, we have the travel wallet from Nomatic for around $20. And this is probably one of the most minimal wallets you can get. It's super slim, lightweight, and basically the size of a credit card. You can fit around 4 up to maybe 10 to 12 cards in here, plus a bit of cash if you need it. And the whole thing is made out of this elastic material, so it expands depending on what you put inside, but still stays really compact. There are a few simple compartments, so you can separate your main cards from the rest, and everything is really easy to access. And that's honestly why I use it. Alright, and with that, we're done. If you enjoyed this one, the video on the left is definitely for you. You'll find even more travel setups and gadgets there. And if you're not subscribed yet, you can do that right here on the right. Thanks a lot for watching all the way to the end, and as always, safe travels guys.